Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Special fighters. Claressa Shields, Emiliano Vargas, Bruce Carrington, and Xander Zayas. I know these images don't look exactly like him, but you get the idea. How good is Emiliano Vargas? That's the question I got. Because he's passing the eye test. But we haven't seen him pass a true test yet. He's got serious knockout power, and he's not a rising star. He's a star that's just, skyrocketing. You know what I'm saying? He's got the last name. He passes the eye test, got the speed, got the timing, got the power, and he's got the look. And I'm telling you right now, we just need to see how good he really is, because in my opinion, the jury's still out. Now, let's not get it twisted, at least for what he's shown so far. He's shown us that he looks like he can go all the way. And not just become a champion, probably become unified, maybe undisputed. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. He's 15-0 with 13 knockouts. Some people are going to look at that and say, with a record like that, no one's going to beat him. Well, hold your horses and let's not take it to the stupid. With a record like that, that means that's some damn good matchmaking. Remember Edgar Berlanga over there at Top Rank? Matchmaking was on point. Got to 16-0 with 16 KOs. And then all of a sudden, what? He flopped a little bit, didn't he? But I'm not saying Emiliano Vargas is going to be in the same situation as Edgar Berlanga. But he is in that same kind of pocket where he has the great, effective, intelligent matchmaking of ESPN and Top Rank. But I just think when you look at his high stoppage rate, that's going to tell you a lot about not just his power, but his precision. Now, I just need to see him face somebody with the power, the precision, with a high knockout rate, who brings the same threats to the ring that he brings. That's all I'm saying. And then we're going to see what's really going on with Emiliano Vargas. And if he gets hurt, how does he deal with adversity? Does he wilt? Does he crumble? Or does he dust himself off, stand on his feet, rise to the occasion, and stop the opponent? Now, his recent performance, man, look, I don't know what to say about that, but damn, boy, he clipped Espinosa in 42 seconds, didn't he? I mean, that was very impressive. But he just showed that he's not only learned from his dad is a smart trainer. He wants his sons to be better than him, so he's teaching them everything he knows, but he's also looking at what other fighters are doing, in particular, like a Floyd Mayweather. Certain things Floyd did that made him very effective, and one thing was that slick pull counter. And that's what Emiliano Vargas was able to use last night to put the beans on his opponent and get him out in 42 seconds. I hear some people saying, oh, that was bullshit, it was set up, it was fake. No, you could... I'm not saying corruption doesn't happen in boxing. We all know the secret society's in full EFFECT. But what I can tell you last night, they weren't operating correctly. That shit was a legit knockout. Look at how the guy's body stiffened up, man. He's like a goddamn mannequin in the ring. So when you see a guy kind of get a bit rigor mortized in the ring, that's from getting your ass clipped. When your body sees up like that you can't fake that shit. I don't care who you are. So the bottom line is he deserves a lot of credit for that knockout. Also, you got to look at the fact that his style, he has patience. And that's what I paid dividends last night. Although it was 42 seconds, he was able to stay patient, stay in the pocket, and wait for the individual to throw a left hand or right hand. He happened to throw I ain't going to say it was lazy jab, threw a jab. Just didn't get it back. 101 shit. But Vargas was waiting for it. And the stars just lined up for him. He's explosive and he's calculated. I mean, there's a lot of these young fighters, you just don't see that. But he has a head start in the game because he has his pops that's squaring him away. So you got to give all the respect in the world to Fernando Vargas for making sure that he's not rushing his sons. Because I can tell you, when you look at it, they could have done him like Victor Ortiz. Take a guy, good story, some power, want to make him the next golden boy, threw him in there with Maidana, something led to something. Dude was never the same. So I like the fact that his dad is like trusting the matchmaking that's happening with Top Rank. But you can see that Fernando Vargas with them little Mexican beady eyes and shit, he watching to see if they try to force something on his son. And you can tell he gonna shut that shit down. Like, nah, he's not doing it. He ain't ready. But I think now he's feeling like, okay, time for him to step it up now. And let's see if my boy's really got it. Because he's passing the eye test, he's doing what I need him to do in the gym. But what happens when things don't go his way? And I like that that they're doing that about him. But I'll tell you what, as long as he can keep showing the patience, explosiveness, being calculated, and then setting traps and finishing opponents, whether it's fast or in the mid rounds or late rounds, he's going to be a problem to deal with. So bottom line, he's got the pedigree, son of Fernando Vargas, boxing's in his blood, and it shows. And he's marketable. You know what I'm saying? Charisma. Look, you got the looks, the highlight reel finishes. And as a result, he's become a fan favorite pretty damn quickly. And not just because of the last name, but because of what he's been doing in the ring. But there's still some, again, for me, some questions that needs to be answered. Level of opposition, you know what I mean? The guy's been a bit soft. They need to get some more durable opponents in there. Not necessarily elite yet, but definitely some guys who pose a threat to him the same way he poses a threat to his opponents. And then put him in there with somebody elite. And then we'll know just what we're working with. As far as his amateur background, look, man, he's solid, but he had a 23-6 record as an amateur. So it makes you wonder if a guy like him is going to be ready for top-tier pros who have, you know, the 100, 200, 300 amateur fights. Been boxing since they've been 5, 6 years old. Because there's some things they do instinctively when you've been boxing that long. It's shit called muscle memory. I'm not saying that Emiliano Vargas hasn't been fast-tracked because of who he has training him and the accessibility that he has to great trainers and great boxing minds. So as a result, he's able to make up a lot of years of, you know, I say that explicit experience, but he's getting it tacitly as a result of his pop. So in my opinion, we still need to see him against some top tier guys, but let's not just throw him into the deep end like he was calling out Teofimo Lopez. To that I say in the most respectful way, hey, yo, hold your horses or hold the caballos, and let's not take it to the stupid. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Because I tell you what, when it comes to the development strategy of Top Rank, that shit ain't gonna happen. They ain't gonna sit there now and deviate from the cautious approach and brand building that they've been doing to all of a sudden just throwing them in the deep end at 140 pounds against killers. They're not gonna do that. So it is what it is. But, you know, can he hang with the best? Keyshawn Davis, Gary Antoine Russell, Richardson Hitchens. Look, there's a lot of guys out there who can scrap, but I just, let's not bite off more than you can chew. But for me, he's heading the right path, and I think he's going to be just fine. You know what I'm saying? That being said, let's transition over to Bruce Carrington. Now, Bruce Carrington, we know him as Shoo Shoo. Look, my only concern with Bruce Carrington is where's the power? Where's the power? You know what I'm saying? But does he need the power to perform exceptionally well and to thrive in his division? And I'm going to tell you this right now. Bruce Carrington does not have the power that I think he may need, but neither does Devin Haney. But Bruce Carrington, if he hits you, you're going to feel it. He don't have a one-hitter quitter necessarily. And as he's moving up in opposition, remember, don't talk about what he's done in the past. He's moving up in opposition now. Not going to be easy to knock those guys out. But kind of remind me a little bit of Devin Haney. Long arms, reach, has elite ring IQ, controls the distance, tempo, and positioning like a seasoned vet. Defensive craft. He's able to slip, feint, pivot, and counter. You saw him last night once he got comfortable in his rhythm. Everything came together. That's why he was able to win that decision by a landslide. But what was really interesting about Bruce Carrington is his ability to make his opponents miss and make them pay. And he does that without really taking significant damage. Really damn near next to nothing. And I just think it's a high-risk type situation if you want to stay in the pocket too long trying to get cute and trying to have the dog and pony show in the ring. Because bad shit can happen, kind of like Tony Harrison last night. He was winning the fight pretty easy. Got excited, got the crowd involved, started letting his hands go. Dominican fighter hit him with the Dominican bing bing and dropped him. But he got back to fighting smart And again, he won the fight pretty easy. But that would be my only concern with Bruce Carrington. But what I will say is, the one thing that really gets my attention is the volume and accuracy. This guy threw 492 punches against Hayter, landed 207. You're talking about 42%. He might as well have been a damn open heart surgeon, because to me that's like surgical precision. You know what I'm saying? You landing 40 to 60, 70% of your shots? That's crazy. But Bruce Carrington can do it. But again, who has he fought? But he's getting to that point to where, fighting the Nick Balls, calling out an Espinoza. This whole thing about him possibly, if Inoue moves up in weight. What I'm saying is Bruce Carrington is at a point to where he's right on the cusp of being thrown in there with them crocodiles. And we're going to see if they're going to take a pound of flesh out of him, or he's going to show them that they're Cayman and he's the damn crocodile, you know what I'm saying? And if he's the one going to be out there taking pounds of flesh out of people. But we still don't know that yet. But what I can tell you, whoever gets in that ring trying to take a pound of flesh out of him, they better have a good plan and strategy, because he's adaptable. His adaptability shows up in the ring. Even when I was watching last night, I'm like, damn, he's looking kind of crazy. Then all of a sudden, something led to something, change to the change, adapt to the adapt. And Bruce Carrington is out there just in cruise control. So he's a special fighter. He really is, man. Switching gears mid-fight, going to the body, going to the head, and just adjusting to these awkward styles. Like the African guy he fought last night was super, super awkward style. But, hey, Bruce Carrington did the business, you know what I mean? And the other thing that I think makes a difference in almost every fight is when you talk about conditioning. Bruce Carrington has outstanding conditioning, superb conditioning. I see Regis Prograis kind of was training alongside him. So obviously there's something in the water out there where Bruce Carrington is training. And some other guys want to get a little taste of that shit because it's working for him. But, the lack of power could cost him. Could cost him, man. It's hard to keep those beasts off you when you start fighting other special and elite fighters. If you don't have power, it's hard to keep them off you. But I think if anyone can do it, he can, as long as his legs hold out, speed holds out. He has like a 72-inch reach. He has long arms. So he has a lot of intangibles that play to his advantage. But I just think if you can't knock people out, sometimes the fan appeal can get to you. Look at Devin Haney. He's established a pretty substantial fan base and a pretty loyal fan base, but the ticket sales and all that, the fan appeal just isn't there the way I think it would be for Devin Haney if he was a knockout puncher. But he's got, 31 wins, 15 knockouts. So Devin, he's not necessarily in there with a goddamn feather tickling you, but he's definitely not in there a Gervonta Davis type puncher. He's definitely bringing a sledgehammer in the ring. But I think for Bruce Carrington, I think that stick and move kind of style of fighting, I just think he's going to get a point where people are going to say he's boring. So he's going to have to find a way to stay exciting and keep the fans engaged. And as a result, if you don't have the power, your finishing ability is going to get questioned. You know what I'm saying? He gets in there against an elite pressure fighter and he can't hurt him. What's he going to do? You know what I'm saying? He's going to probably get beat up and lose the fight. And that's just being real. You manage Bruce Carrington into with a guy like a Pitbull Cruz. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about two different weight classes, but I'm talking about the style. You can't keep a guy like Pitbull Cruz off you. Your ass is in trouble. So, look, you want to keep somebody honest in the boxing ring, you got to have some pop. And I ain't going to get into me, but I'm just telling you from experience. I know what it's like to be in there with a bigger, stronger pressure fighter who's coming at you. And to hit that motherfucker with something and then all of a sudden he's not in a rush to come after you. I've also been in there with guys that, you bing-binging them and it's like, they're getting hurt. And they just, I don't know, they just push through it. You got to knock them out. And I want to see how that's going to happen. Lastly is the judging risk when it comes to Bruce Carrington. In close fights, you don't have power and you can't hurt people. You may be outboxing, but somebody lands a hard shot on you and hurts you. The power shots could sway the judges. And that's for anybody. But for Bruce Carrington, that's just how I see it. So volume alone is not always going to be enough. That's where you see the Berta Bibbs and Bivol fight, the first fight. everybody had an opinion on that decision. Then the rematch, everybody had an opinion. Devin Haney and Lomachenko, everybody had an opinion. People are always going to have opinions because when you get someone in there who has a high volume but not necessarily have the, landing hard power, the judges, it's so subjective. Judges can struggle to accurately score the fight. But again, it's opinionated. So no matter how much criteria they have to score fights, shit's not easy. But can a guy like Bruce Carrington go on to become a champion? I think absolutely, man. You look at Shakur Stevenson, Willie Pep, Paulie Malignaggi, who's still out here fighting some bare knuckle shit. I just think when you think about those guys are fighters who focus more on finesse than force. And they were very effective, and they've done very well, and they were very well known. So I think Carrington being ranked number 1 by the WBC, picking up the interim featherweight title, puts him in a position for a shot at Stephen Fulton. And I'll be honest with you, I think he and Fulton will be a good fight. Fulton has been looking pretty good, but you just never know if Bruce Carrington, with that long reach, can start to kind of chip away at Fulton. Although Fulton with Bozy in us, they got a good team over there, and guys out of Philly, he can scrap. That's going to be a Philly versus Brooklyn showdown. I hope they make that fight next, but I don't know what's going to happen. But all I'm saying, if he keeps outclassing punchers like Hader, a guy like Bruce Carrington is going to force the division to respect his style. Even if it's not highlight reel material, they're going to say, this dude is the truth. But the person that we all need to talk about is Claressa Shields. Oh, boy, man. Is she really the GOAT? Is she really the greatest woman of all time? Now, when you look at what she's accomplished from an amateur to a pro, you could say that. But what's the real story? 17-0 across 5 weight classes, 154 to 200 pounds. That shit is crazy. Undisputed in 3 weight divisions. Only boxer, male or female, to hold all 4 major belts in 3 separate divisions. Olympic gold 2-time. That shit is unheard of, man. Now people are gonna say stuff about her opposition. What's she supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? If she's fighting the best that's out there, what's she supposed to do? Now people want her to melt down to 147, a weight she said, I think she had before saying that she could make it or could try to make it. 154, she could get down there. But you can see that, you look at how she's built. She's not a small woman, man. And I ain't just talking about the fact that she's half human, half lobster with all that meat in her tail. I'm just talking about, you can look at her and see, she's not, her getting out of 154, 147, that shit could be life-threatening, man. But that may be what the challenge is, to see her drop the weight and have a Baumgartner come up to a weird catch weight. Katie Taylor just couldn't do it. Serrano jumped up. Why can't Katie Taylor? But I'm just saying, I think she's just too big to be in some of those fights that we'd really want to see, some of those dream fights. But the bottom line is, last night she fought Lanai Daniels. She put 15,000 people in that arena. So Claressa Shields is marketable. You know what I'm saying? Claressa Shields is selling. But you just got to wonder, although she has a cultural impact, building her own promotional company, starting a feature film, push for equal pay in women's boxing, you just got to wonder about the level of opposition. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even in her own words, she said, these girls are just too easy to beat. I win 10 rounds easy. That really doesn't help your argument as saying you're the GOAT when you're over here saying everyone's just too easy. So, but what are we going to do? Have some AI create some artificial human and throw him in the ring with Claressa Shields to where she is in a competitive fight finally, or the robot or whatever beats the shit out of her? Like, what? It's not her fault. Like, it really isn't her fault. And I see some people posting comments like, well, she said she would do this for this fight in MMA, or she'd do this for this fight in boxing. Maybe that's changed because she's 30 years old now, and it's not easy to cut that weight. What you want her to do, like De La Hoya did against Pacquiao? This man got down to 147 somewhere he knew he wasn't supposed to be. severely dehydrated. IVs and shit to try to rehydrate. Freddie Roach talked about that. You could see the IV marks in De La Hoya hand. De La Hoya was a dead man walking. About Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. when he fought Canelo was a dead man walking. Y'all, that's what y'all want to see Claressa Shields do to herself? So in my opinion, fans are going to continue to argue. Yes, you can have it. Fans are going to continue to argue about her greatness and say that it's dulled by lack of elite rivals across weight divisions that she's comfortable fighting at. But I'm going to say, man, cut her some slack and hold your horse and let's not take it to the stupid. Claressa Shields is the truth, man. This shit about her calling out Layla Ali. I'll be honest with you. Layla Ali is 46, something like that. 47. She don't need to be coming back to fight no Claressa Shields. But I'll be honest with you. Claressa Shields at the weight she's fighting at, 174, whatever. She doesn't look that conditioned. She doesn't look that special. She doesn't look that powerful. She looked pretty goddamn sloppy last night, if you ask me. That shit where she was chipping across the ring, chasing after Daniels, and I don't know what, she doing this shit. I don't know what that was. That reminded me of, what movie was I watching? What somebody did that. Oh, I know it was Anthony Joshua's coach, Ben Davison, when he ran over to Joshua. He did this little short, chippy kind of thing. Look like Claressa Shields. And there's a movie where somebody in the movie does that. I can't remember what movie it was. But the bottom line is, she dominated, she won. But she just didn't, to me, I don't like her at that heavyweight. You'll get down to 160, 154, 160, 175, all that cellulite in her body. She had no abs. And I'm not fat shaming her. What I'm telling you is, I just like to see her perform at the lighter weights because she looks that better, that cleaner, that precise. She looks so much better. But the bottom line is, Claressa Shields gets busy, but it's just me. It's like, I got people who say, man, Hood Champ, you look good, you look strong at 260. My man, my prime weight, the best weight for me is about 210. You know what I'm saying? But, everyone's going to have an opinion. So, again, don't take what I'm saying as trying to berate her. No. I'm just saying for me, I like to see her with a streamlined physique, faster, better balance, and timing and everything much better. And to me, she uses the jab a little too much. You're trying to cut somebody off. You're cutting them off, and they're exiting to the left, and you're jabbing at them. No, you got to throw that hook so they don't get to that escape route. They go to the right, throw that hook. But I just thought she was using the jab at the wrong time last night. But, hey, she got the job done. But I just think when you look at her rematching Savannah Marshall, fighting Franchon Cruz, or Michaela Mayer at a catchweight, those are cool fights. But the real fight to me is Shadesha Green. Claressa Shields should go over to sign with Jake Paul for 1 or 2 fights and make that money. But she's so stubborn and shit, but she wants to do her own thing. Nothing wrong with that. Was she going to keep fighting in Michigan? But maybe she has several pokers in the fire that have heated up to where she can do it on her own. And if she can, more power to her. Go on overseas and get your money. Start making your 30, 40 million. Doing it your way. She's a very interesting person. Yes, she's loud and she can be annoying and, Franchon, no cap. Nobody, I can't listen to that shit. But I can get beyond it to see in the individual how intelligent and brilliant she is, man, and how driven she is to really keep herself out of where she came from and to elevate herself and future family to a whole nother level to where all those people, those clinger honors, she can be like, you know what, I'm going to bring y'all with me too because I can. And I just think it's outstanding, man. But anyway, her skill set is undeniable. The legacy will shine even brighter if she can find opponents who can push her to the edge. And I'm just not sure she's done that yet, and she's going to. But if she had like a Katie Taylor in her division, boy, that shit would be amazing. An Amanda Serrano in her division, that shit would be amazing. But she doesn't. Closest she's got is maybe a Baumgartner, but Shadesha Green is the one. Because Shadesha Green hit Savannah Marshall with some shit. And if Claressa Shields in there with her hands down, trying to goddamn, showboat and shit, and Shadesha Green hits her, Claressa Shields is going to get hurt. We talk about Ann Wolfe. Shadesha Green, there's only one Ann Wolfe, but she may be the closest thing to an Ann Wolfe we got today because she really hit Savannah Marshall with some shit that changed the rest of the fight when Savannah Marshall wasn't the same. If Claressa Shields gets hit with that, that's either going to make her, she's either going to get dropped, hurt badly, and get stopped, or she's going to get hit and say that shit hurt and get angry and fight harder, which is what I think she'll do, is get angry and fight harder. Before I close this out, Puerto Rico, Xander Zayas. Him against Sebastian Fundora. Listen, Puerto Rico versus Mexico, the Puerto Rican American, Mexican American. Well, Puerto Rico is part of America, but y'all know what I'm saying. Who wins? Because to me, is a fascinating style, a clash of styles. It's a fascinating match. Xander Zayas is showing that, that he can get the job done. That guy he fought last night, good fighter, but he wasn't Sebastian Fundora. But, if you have this physical freak, Sebastian Fundora, against this technical slickster, Xander Zayas, you're going to get an interesting fight. One thing to point out, Fundora's, we already know it, the man's like 10 feet tall and shit, right? Slender man. This guy, 154, standing about 6'6", almost 6'7". Xander Zayas is about 5'11", all right? Which is pretty average for the division. But when you start talking to reach, Fundora is using that 80-plus inch reach when he fights now, so he's getting smarter. Xander Zayas has a 74-inch reach. That's going to make a big difference when you look at Tim Tszyu, only had a 71, 72. But still, it's solid, but it's not elite. Fundora is a long-range sniper when he wants to be, and he showed it against Tszyu. The problem with Fundora is after a few rounds, he starts bringing his hands down, and I think a guy like Xander Zayas is going to be able to get there, and he doesn't have the kind of damage and wear and tear that Tim Tszyu had, so Zayas may be able to get there and do the business. But as far as the styles, we all know Fundora, although he's 6'6", 10 feet tall, 20 feet tall, he compartmentalizes himself and fights like Isaac Pitbull Cruz at times, but he's doing better being a long-range sniper. With that pressure, southpaw, high volume. Then Zayas is more slick, boxer, very heavy jab. So it's a really, really interesting matchup. Power, 25 fights, 15 KOs for Sebastian Fundora, 65% KO ratio. And Zayas is 22 fights, 13 KOs, 59% KO ratio. So I'm not sure how much damage either can do to each other with one shot, but over the course of the fight, you could tell that, someone's going to get bing-binged because these guys both can let their hands go, but Fundora is a nonstop punching machine. But you look at the experience, Fundora probably fought a little bit better experience, not just because he fought Tim Tszyu twice and being, he's kind of been in the ring and getting tested and kind of learning what he can and can't do, what he should and shouldn't do. And that's why I see now you have this much improved product in Sebastian Fundora. Whereas Xander Zayas, he just won his first title against this guy Garcia, but you haven't really seen him go through adversity and deal with challenging situations in the ring for him to go back and say, okay, these are things I need to do, these things I need to stop doing, and this is where I need to make some adjustments so I can continue to be effective in the ring. But as far as a tactical breakdown between the two fighters, I just think Fundora's strengths, we talked about some of it. Smothers opponents with volume and reach, very double, can fight inside despite his frame, but also he can fight on the outside, and he's doing that more, and that's where I think he should be at. And again, he fought Lubin, he fought Mendoza, he fought Tszyu, and he fought what some would say is elite competition. As far as Zayas, the jab and footwork are key. It's impressive. Disciplined ring IQ, doesn't allow anyone to bait him into brawls, and still improving. He's only 22 years old, so he's only going to get better. Now, what tilts it towards Fundora, at least for now, I think if they fought, I have to favor Fundora. Zayas just hasn't faced a pressure fighter like Fundora. Fundora's a freak, man. He can stay behind his jab and win the fight. Fundora doesn't do nothing but jab, and he wins against anybody. Okay, that's my opinion. All right, so it is what it is. Fundora's resume is just stacked with top-tier names. Zayas is still kind of growing his resume. But if Zayas can't hurt Fundora and keep him off him with movement, he's going to risk getting overwhelmed and stopped. You know, and them Puerto Rican going to be throwing grandule and shit, and pinchos and shit in the ring. You know what I mean? While the Mexican going to be cracking cervezas and getting drunk. So could Zayas win the fight? Of course he could win the fight. Of course he could. Angles, controlling the range, avoids trading. I mean, then, you know, he's there. But he just needs to be flawless for 12 rounds. You know what I mean? And right now, when you look at Fundora, the experience and awkwardness is going to give him a bit of an edge. And it would when you're talking about somebody who's goddamn 15 feet tall with a 100-inch reach. I mean, it's crazy to just think someone's going to get in there and steamroll Fundora, especially Fundora right now. But hopefully it happens in December or early next year. It could be one of those things where you see a coming-of-age moment for Xander Zayas. Or it's going to be a reality check because now he's in there and he's going to be dealing with adversity and you're going to see who really is Al Capone because the real deal will start in the first second of the first round when that bell rings. And we're going to see who's made of what. We know what Fundora's made of. We're going to find out if Xander Zayas got a little Miguel Cotto in him. If he got a little Benitez in him, if he got a little Felix Trinidad in him, we're going to find out. But anyway, we'll see what the future holds for him. Claressa Shields, Emiliano Vargas, Bruce Carrington, Xander Zayas. Amazing, amazing fighters. But just don't know what the future holds. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I think they're all going to continue bubbling to the top. Let me know what you think. In the breeze. Apologize for the interruption, but hey, if you enjoy the channel, you enjoy the content, why don't you go take time and head over to my homepage, click on the link store so you can purchase some of the latest Hood Champion boxing merch. Got hats, shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, stuff for the kids. Got different designs. So again, I'd appreciate it if you took some time to head over to the store. Again, just click on the store tab on my homepage and go out there and find something you like. Got something for everybody. And again, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. And y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.